Welcome, my magical star beings. In today's reading, we're going to take a look at how they think you would treat others. So, the rundown of the reading. In question 1, we're going to take a look at exactly the title. Then in question 2, we're going to take a look at how they came to this conclusion. So, in terms of your pal selection, you can either pick your pal based off your zodiac sign, their zodiac sign, and these zodiacs are in the thumbnail, or you can choose the one you're most drawn to. So, for pal 1, we have rose quartz with the 4 of cups. Then for pile 2, we have black tourmaline with the 5 of wands reverse. And for pile 3, we have amethyst with the 3 of cups. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to pick a pile. So hopefully by now you've picked a pile for yourself. If you want to support the channel by watching the sponsored segment that's coming up now, I would appreciate it. But if you want to get straight into your reading, that's okay. The timestamps are in the description box below, and I will see you there. I'll try to be as accurate as I can, but it is a bit tricky when reading for the collective. If you want something more personal, you can always check in with the psychic for a more in-depth description. Speaking of which, I tried a clairvoyant from Psychic Source, and yes, they're sponsoring today's video. Thank you, Psychic Source. I got matched with a clairvoyant through their site, and honestly, I wasn't expecting her to be that accurate. I gave her no personal info, just asked about my future love life, and somehow she instantly picked up that I'm already in a relationship. She literally said, "Why are you asking about the future without mentioning him?" I was literally speechless, but then I remembered that's kind of what I do too. Still a shocking experience to be on the receiving end of it. She described my future partner as someone who makes me really happy, with great communication and bond that can handle anything. But the part that really stuck with me, she said she saw my future husband giving me purple flowers. A few weeks later, nothing happened, so I kind of forgot about it. Then we saw a tattoo promo on Instagram. My boyfriend sent me his ideas so I can book, and boom, a purple flower. Not a bouquet, but I'm definitely taking that as a sign. You can chat with gifted advisors however you're most comfortable, phone, video, or even text. Setting up my account on their website was super easy, and they have this quick little quiz that helps you find a psychic based on what you're looking for, whether it's love, past lives, energy readings, whatever. It made the whole process really personal and intentional. What sets them apart is the level of care and integrity. Only 2% of their applicants actually become advisors, so you know you're speaking to someone who's truly gifted and held to high ethical standards. And they back everything up with a no risk guarantee. If you're not happy with your last paid reading, it's free. For a limited time, you can use my code Siren at psychicsource.com when checking out, or you can just click the link in my description box below at trypsychicsource.com/siren. You'll get up to 40 minutes with an advisor for just $19.80. That's up to a $240 value. You don't have to use it all in one session. You can spread those minutes out across multiple advisors to see who you truly resonate with. They also donate 1% of your purchase to charity at no extra cost to you. Oh, and yes, I do get paid for this promo, so when you sign up with Psychic Source, you're feeding a perpetually hungry, slightly dramatic psychic, that'd be me, and funding my next impulsive crystal purchase. As you can see, the channel needs some new crystals, but that's all for now. Thank you again to Psychic Source for sponsoring today's video. Pile 1, you chose the Rose Quartz Crystal and the 4 of Cups card. We're going to take a look at how they think you would treat others. So if you want to see the summarized version of what we're going to take a look at, you can check the questions down below in the timestamps, if you haven't seen the intro, of course. Spirit guides of pile number 1, please tap me into the energy of the person on their mind. Can you please show me, how do they think pile number 1 treats others? How do they think pile 1 treats others? So in my mind's eye so far, I'm seeing black cat energy. And you know how like cats are very cute and cuddly, but They come and go as they please. They're not like, not all cats are clingy, but most cats have like independence. There are some that are clingy. But I'm always getting this energy of like, you just doing your own thing, being independent, coming and going as you please, if that makes sense. Maybe being a little bit detached, charming, mysterious. Judgment, the Sun, and the Chariot. We'll take a look at these in a moment. So they would assume that you're very generous with others, you love to give to others, and you almost don't want to see a person left out. However, they would also assume that you're maybe not always interested in making other friends because maybe you already have a friend group that you're already satisfied with, happy with, that you're not really looking to make new friends, or maybe that you sometimes get bored or disinterested in conversations with the Four of Cups. And when you're like bored, you don't really vibe with the person well. Maybe you're just like quiet. Maybe you're just listening to them, taking in what they're saying, but not really adding much when you're like not really. That's only when you're not really like interested in forming a connection with that person. However, when you are, you could be that type of person that is very warm with the Sun, almost like very cheerful towards them, you know, making them laugh, making them smile, very generous. So I think that they think it depends on whether you want to actively be close to the person or not. Like, how you treat them depends on how you feel about them. Not that you would treat them badly if you feel negatively about them. I'm not necessarily seeing that per se right now. If I do see that later on, I'll mention it. But it's mostly this energy of if I am interested in, you know, forming a friendship with somebody or just having some kind of relationship with them, then I will try harder. But when I'm not, I'll just be receptive. I'm not going to be rude, but I'm not going to really add anything to it because I'm not really interested in having a conversation with them in the first place. So maybe you're kind of like dry with people you don't want to like interact with to get them to almost leave you alone. Or maybe you just like, what's that word when somebody like leaves a conversation without the person knowing? I'm seeing that. Though they do think that once somebody is your friend or once somebody is close to you, even if there is issues within the connection, you maybe try to work through that with that person instead of just like ending the friendship or ending the connection, because you value the people in your life. And when somebody like brings you a certain amount of value or adds a certain amount of joy to your life, you're not just going to let that go super easily unless it's like a toxic relationship and you're like, this is not working. But other than that, I feel like when you really love somebody, you're going to try make it work with them, even if there's like a small issue or drama, but this person doesn't really think you like drama in that sense. They think that you're the type of person that treats others in a way where you bring the fun to them, where you almost like lighten the mood in some way. You could be that type of friend that almost like brightens the mood of others. Like when somebody's having a bad day, you plan something cute for them. Just very thoughtful in some way towards people. Like whether it's like, you know, you throwing a surprise party for someone for their birthday, or they had a bad day and you're doing something thoughtful for them, doing something that they would want to cheer them up. That's the energy I see here. They also think that you're very extroverted, that you perhaps go out a lot, and when your friends are going through issues within their own personal lives, you're always one to give advice to them. I don't know why it's coming through as like friends, but I think the focus is more on friends with the Sun card. And it's interesting that I mentioned black cats and we see that here, so that's a huge confirmation. So we see the signs here: Aries, Leo, Scorpio, and Cancer. Again, with the cats I was seeing, it's kind of like you are affectionate with people you're closer to, but not really strangers, which is understandable. Like, who's gonna be affectionate with a stranger? But yeah, that's what I'm getting. Like, maybe you show more attachment, like more emotional attachment to people you're closer to. Whereas with people you're not so close to, maybe you're just less open with them, which makes sense. I feel like mostly everybody's like that. I hear that they think that you're very respectful towards others. Even people you don't necessarily vibe with well, you're still going to be respectful and polite. You're respectful with people's time, energy, patience, their belongings, everything like that. The Seven of Wands reverse can show that you are letting your guard down. You may have previously struggled with trust issues because of the fact that, like when you become close to someone, it's not that you put your happiness in them per se, but they kind of think that, like, once you're attached to somebody, they can affect your happiness, they can affect your mood. So imagine I'm like in a relationship as an example, and they're affecting my mood in a negative way. That could like be an example. Of course, it doesn't have to resonate, but that's kind of what's coming through in the sense of you just don't want to have people around you that are going to affect your mood in a negative way and that are going to like affect your happiness in a negative way. The Seven of Wands reverse could also show that you're not very defensive, you're very open with people you're close to. And with the King of Cups next to that, that could be like emotionally open. But maybe when it comes to strangers, you're a little bit emotionally distant or kind of like emotionally detached, which makes sense. Again, I feel like that's not surprising. Most people are like that. They think that you're confident within yourself with around other people, where other people wouldn't necessarily make you envy them. Even like friends, they don't think you would show up in like an envious way or even a weird way towards friends or passive aggressive in any way. They think that you're confident within yourself and you're growing your confidence to a point where nobody can affect that. And even if your friends or people around you were doing better than you, you wouldn't like necessarily envy them or compete with them. I feel this very heart-centered energy, this very like deep energy with you. They feel like you have a lot of emotional depth and depth in general. Like maybe your conversations are very deep too, or you're just able to connect on a deep emotional level with others and understand them completely and make them feel seen in some way. They think that you're very generous money wise, like you'll pay for, your friend's lunch or whatever. I'm just seeing that energy of generosity with money, or maybe you buying people gifts. Or I even see like an acts of service love language, like for example, making food for those you love, or helping them with tasks or something they're struggling with. They think that you're warm and comforting to others, that, when others need something, you're gonna sort of provide it for them. That you're very warm and nurturing in some way, but also calm and balanced. You're not like all over the place or erratic emotionally. They kind of perceive you as like that calm person that treats people in a way that makes them feel special and almost like cared for and thought about in a way. So, for example, I see somebody coming to your house and, you're offering them a blanket because it's cold, or offering them, like something to drink because it's cold, maybe like a hot drink. Or let's say you're the type of friend to take care of a sick friend. I kind of see that energy here. I see somebody going shopping a lot with their friends as well. I'm not gonna lie, I see this energy of ride or die energy where it's like, let's say your friend had to lie about something, you would lie for them to cover their back. I don't know if you would actually do that, but they think you would do that. You may even be the type to share certain interests you have with those you're close to, like your music, your favorite shows, etc. And they may also think that you're more of a low maintenance person to be around. You're not like someone that, like your friends need to text every single day. You can catch up with them once in a while. There's like no pressure there. That's what I see. And you're always going to be that type of friend or person. Excuse me saying the word friend the whole time, but I'm seeing it like this. So maybe they think this is how you interact with your friends. But they think that you're that type of friend that is always gonna like cheer people up, put a smile on their face until they maybe pollute the friendship with toxicity. But other than that, I feel like they think you treat people well. So now we're going to get the last 3 cards, and then we're going to take a look at how they came to this conclusion. So how do they think pile number 1 treats others? How do they think pile 1 treats others? I keep seeing like this helping hand. Like, let's say a friend is unemployed and you're helping them, like maybe try find a job, like helping them apply for jobs or something, or asking around, like if anybody knows like an opportunity available. So 2 of Wands, 6 of Swords reverse, and the Knight of Swords reverse. So they think that you would call people you're closest to pet names, and you would always like rotate different pet names, not just call them like one pet name. They think that you would have inside jokes with people you're closest to, that you're very authentic and you don't pretend to be someone you're not around others. I also see this energy of like you having your own sayings. You know, like how some people like have their own little sayings. I don't know how to explain the energy that I'm seeing, but I hope you get what I mean. Like where nobody else says that sentence or that thing, but that person says it all the time. So I'm seeing something about that, and maybe you adopting like some of your friends' sayings or etc. And I'm also seeing someone that FaceTimes a lot or calls a lot. And I'm seeing somebody that isn't like the impulsive person, but almost like advises other people to make the right decision. Like, let's say your friend is coming to you and being like, should I go back to my ex? And you're like, you know damn well what I'm going to say. The answer is no. But there's something about like being the responsible friend, being the friend people go to for sound, actual helpful advice. They know they're going to come to you for the truth. Not brutal honesty, but the truth. And I keep seeing you make purchases for those you're closest to, like where you buy them something. Like now I'm seeing you go shopping with somebody and they like something, like maybe a necklace, and you buy it for them on top of the things you're buying for yourself. They also think that the friends you're closest to have your back in the sense of if somebody wrongs you, they wrong all of you. Okay, now I'm seeing like a visual image of someone that was bullied as a child. So they think you may have gone through that you wouldn't want to like treat others like that. I'm also seeing that like when people form a close connection with you where you just click, you can kind of like skip the stages of getting to know each other and jump straight into like maybe not a relationship, but a closer connection, if that makes sense. Like where you don't have to go through like that stage of getting to know each other, awkwardness, you know. They also think you're the type of person that speaks positively about people behind their back and not negatively. And they think that you wouldn't like change or switch up on those closest to you, that you're like pretty consistent overall with the way you treat others. It's not like, oh, one day because you're moody, you're treating them like trash, then the next day because you're happy, you're treating them great. There's a consistency overall. The way you treat others doesn't change, even like based on your mood, based on how much you like them. Like maybe if somebody is like effing you over, maybe you'll be a little bit petty. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about here is like regardless of how you feel, even if you're just like in a mood, you're not going to take it out on those closest to you or anyone in general. That's what I see. So we also see a lot of water sign energy here and air sign energy. So Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So, spirit guides of pile 1, how did they come to this conclusion that this is the way pile 1 treats others? How did they come to this conclusion that this is the way pile 1 treats others? We have the Magician showing up reverse. We have the 3 of Swords. And we have the Eight of Pentacles showing up reverse. With that low maintenance energy I spoke about, maybe they've seen that energy from you towards them where it's like, you don't seem clingy in any way. Like, if you don't talk for one day, it's not the end of the world. So they almost feel like you don't require like a whole lot of attention to feel loved, if that makes sense. Like, you're good on your own, you have your own life, you have your own things you're focusing on outside your connections. You're not overly dependent on your connections where you get anxious if they don't respond to you for one day. You know what I mean? Okay, this person has also experienced situations where they've had friends that they felt were secretly envious of them, secret haters, and maybe they've seen kind of the way you've interacted with your friends or the way you've interacted with them, and you don't give off this vibe. So, what I'm picking up from the person you're asking about is they have great pattern recognition skills, and you just don't give off the vibe of somebody that would be envious of those you love. Or even be passive aggressive in any way, or even like go behind their back. You just don't give off that vibe at all. You give off the vibe of somebody that's mature, knows how to deal with things in a classy way. Let's say you were to go through like some kind of drama with somebody, like, yes, that would be a different story, but most of the time you handle things maturely. Even if you are heartbroken in a situation with a Three of Swords, like, let's say your friend does something to hurt you, if that friend is valuable to you, like how I said before, they bring a lot of joy in your life, and maybe this was just the first time, like, you would want to fix that with them rather than just break off that connection because of that one thing. Or if you decide not to fix it with them, you probably wouldn't like try to go behind their back and say things about them or be petty towards them, because what if one day you want to be friends with them again, because they meant a lot to you, that you still have loyalty towards them even after the connection ends. Now, if you didn't relate to anything that I said, maybe they could be misreading you, but this is the energy I feel so far. So let me know how this has resonated for you down below in the comments so far. Like, were the things said here true? The Magician reverse intuitively for me makes me feel like they haven't seen you treat others this way, but they almost just assume this about you. Like, assume this is the way you would. Based off your vibe, based off the way you've treated them, and based off what they've seen so far about you. So how did they come to this conclusion that this is how pile one treats others? We have the Death card reverse, and we have the Ace of Swords reverse. So they're not really sure themselves how they got to this conclusion. What I'm seeing in my mind's eye is like, just for context, I'll tell you what I'm seeing. I used to struggle with math. I was like so bad at math. And even though I had tutors, like I just sucked at it where I was failing. And anyways, sometimes I would like try to do like an equation in school. And I don't know how I got to like the final answer, but I just did. Then the teacher would ask like, how did you get to that answer? And I'm like, I don't know. I just got to that answer. So I'm seeing that in my mind's eye as a vision, like someone looking at an equation and being like, I don't know how I got to this answer, I just did. So the Ace of Swords reverse typically represents confusion, them not really being sure, them kind of like guessing, scratching their head and being like, okay, this is what I think, but is it really true? I'm not really sure. So they kind of assume this, but they're confused on if you actually are like this. But with the Death card reverse, they're using their own personal experiences from dealing with different people. And like I said, they are good at pattern recognition, but maybe they're not always right. So they're not like fully confident in their answer that this is how you are for sure. But based on like people they've kind of observed in the past, you seem like this type of person. So that's kind of what I'm getting there. Is there anything else in terms of like how they came to this conclusion? We also see Virgo, Gemini, Scorpio again here. We have Justice reverse, which is Libra energy, Temperance. I think that's Sagittarius if I'm not mistaken. The reason why they came to this conclusion was because of your energy and vibe towards them, where you seemed very warm, you seemed very welcoming, and with Justice reverse, they don't know if this is the truth yet. With Temperance, it's kind of like I need to wait and see if this is the truth. You know, I may just like be assuming, and this may not even be how they truly are, but this is what I think they're like. But I still need to kind of like get to know them more to see. So I don't know if this is someone you don't know that well, like the back of your hand, or they don't know you that well. And if they have been in your life for a long time, maybe they're just unsure. Maybe they're just like, okay, I think I know pile number one well, but I could be wrong about certain things. Like, you know, when you've known somebody for a while, but there's still this energy of like not being sure about certain things, because I think that, you know, someone can be in your life for 5 years and maybe you only see a certain side of them like on the 5 year mark. You know what I mean? So things aren't always so set in stone, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's the vibe I'm getting there. That's where I'm going to leave your reading. I do hope this resonated with you. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you like this reading and you want to join my membership, I would really appreciate it. But yeah, thank you for watching and I can't wait to see you next time. Pile 2, you chose the black tourmaline crystal and the 5 of Wands reverse. We're going to be taking a look at how they think you would treat others. So let's get straight into your reading. So I'm getting that this person is watching you very heavily, like observing your every move, trying to figure out your intentions towards them. But the 5 of Wands being your main card could represent them kind of thinking you treat others in a way where you don't like drama, you don't like conflict. In fact, maybe you avoid conflict. Maybe there could be some people pleasers here or some people trying to heal from people pleasing behavior. If that doesn't resonate, that's okay. But either way, with the 5 of Wands reverse, this is just somebody that doesn't like drama, doesn't like conflict, would rather have peace in their connections than toxicity and ups and downs. You want like healthy, stable love, people in your life that aren't gonna mess with your head in some way. Aren't gonna like constantly pick fights with you. So spirit guides of pile 2, tap me into the energy of this person on their mind, please. And please show me, how do they think pile 2 would treat others? How do they think pile 2 would treat others? So the first card we have is the Lovers, which is quite interesting. Then we have Temperance. And we have the Sun. So I'm hearing you go, girl. Regardless of gender, there's just something about you maybe hyping up people that you love, or people in general. Like maybe you're the type of person that loves to be everyone's hype woman or hype man. Like you will give compliments where it's due. You will give people their flowers where it's due. Maybe you always strive to make people feel better in some way. Like, let's say they come to you for the day, hanging out with you for the day. You're going to make them feel better than what they did coming there in the first place initially. So there's something about like you treating people in a way where they leave the function, the event, whatever it is, feeling better than they did before. And even if they didn't feel bad before, they're even happier than what they were coming to that event, function, your house, whatever. So that's what I'm picking up on. You always just want to make the people around you feel good about themselves, feel confident. And your compliments seem genuine in a way. Like what you're doing, what you're saying to others seems genuine. It doesn't seem like you're just saying that to get closer to them. You also seem like a very healthy person, like emotionally healthy. You seem loyal in the sense of you always have the people you love's back. Like, let's say you see your friend, their man, like doing something they're not supposed to. You're gonna go and tell your friend. Like, there's always like loyalty towards the people closest to you. I'm just seeing that as an example in my mind, which is why I'm mentioning that. There's just like this loyalty here where you will never like keep a lie from them or keep a secret from them in some way, especially if it like affects them in some way. Though they do think that you can be very critical of both yourself and others, um, almost having perfectionistic standards on yourself and others. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but this is what they think. They think that you're very good with flirting, very good with your words. Um, and if you wanted to, you could use your pretty privilege to your advantage. Or you could flirt to kind of get something you wanted from somebody, but they don't think you necessarily do that. But you could if you wanted to, because you have the looks for it. That's what they think. They think that you sometimes help those that are struggling. Like if you can, if you have the bandwidth to help them, because you don't want to like see someone go through pain or like lack something. Like if somebody's homeless and they're asking you for money, maybe you would help them if you had the money. There's just something about that. There's something about like trying to be patient with others and give them grace and kind of just allow them the time, the space to show up in a way that, serves them. They think that you're a romantic at heart and that you're possibly someone that loves to be in long-term relationships with the lovers, but you're also just like very loving and affectionate with those you're closest to, showing them love at any time you can, telling them you love them, just being very open with your feelings, showing appreciation to them for what they do and gratitude and not taking advantage of people you're closest to either. They think that you put a smile on people's faces around you and you just spread love wherever you go. So I pick up on the energy of someone that's very loving with the lovers. They think that you are sort of someone that is not super extroverted, not super introverted, like kind of in the middle. Maybe you need time to recharge your social battery between social settings, if that makes sense. 10 of Pentacles reverse, 2 of Cups reverse, and the 8 of Cups reverse. So they also think that you sometimes don't know when to leave relationships that are not serving you. When you can just see that person just isn't good for you or isn't like adding to your life anymore. Like let's say you're friends with somebody and you're drifting apart from them and you can see that both of you are changing, going in different directions, but maybe a part of you still tries to hold on to that. Maybe the friend is not treating you badly, but you both know that that connection has come to an end, but maybe you're still trying to hold on to it in some way out of maybe feeling bad or guilty. Or maybe it's like you have a family member that you know is toxic and maybe you limit your time spent with them. You distance yourself from them a little bit, but you haven't completely cut them out of your life. And I'm not telling you to cut anybody out of your life. That's your decision. But what I am seeing here, maybe like let's say you were in a romantic connection and you knew it was toxic, but you just struggled to leave the person fully. Maybe it was like on and off. Maybe you tried to leave, but then you kept going back. That's the energy I see here of like someone that struggles to know when connections need to come to an end, struggles to let go. I think it's because they think that you're someone that's very attached to people, that it's like you struggle to let go of them once you gain some kind of attachment to them, even if they aren't good for you, even if you know they're not good for you, even if you know the connections come to an end. It's just a struggle for you to let go. And they're not necessarily viewing it in a bad way. They're kind of just seeing it as you get very emotionally attached, and it's a difficult thing for you to let go once you are attached. But they think that sometimes things naturally come to an end, and that's okay. Not everybody's meant to stay in our life forever. We can take the memories and experiences from that and, have gratitude in our hearts for it. But it is easier said than done to just move on. So that's their perspective. The Knight of Wands reversed at the back of the deck can talk about walking on eggshells. So I could definitely be picking up on a pile that has dealt with people pleaser energies, or someone that has had toxic people around them that made them almost feel like they have to walk on eggshells, like they can't bring up issues or problems because it's going to start a fight, like they almost have to avoid the person when the person's in a bad mood because that person's volatile. I feel like maybe you've had family members like that around you in your upbringing, or just people that made you feel like that, like friendships, relationships. So we have the Hanged Man reverse. The thing is, they know you don't want to spend too much time around people like that make you feel like you walk on eggshells, because maybe they make you feel anxious, confused, like you don't like the feeling of being around them, but maybe you feel too bad to let them go completely. But you don't want to be around them and constantly have fights or whatever. So that's what they think. So we have the Hangman reverse, Ace of Swords reverse, and Two of Wands. So with the Hangman reverse, going back to what we said before, this talks about you letting people stay in your life longer than they should. Almost procrastinating on telling them the truth of how you really feel with the Ace of Swords reverse. It's not that you're necessarily lying to them about how you feel, but you're not being open and honest about it because maybe you feel like that person is just going to blow up anyways, or that person is just not going to understand, or it's going to turn into a fight. And I get it. Or maybe you're just scared to let another person down, hurt their feelings with the truth of how you feel, so you keep them in your life longer than you should. Though I do feel heartbreak in my heart chakra with this, so it's like you don't want to hurt others and you don't want to deal with the pain of that heartbreak, so maybe you procrastinate on that. You say you're gonna tell them, okay, I can't be friends anymore, but then you procrastinate on that the whole time to avoid that feeling. So that's what they think. They think that you don't treat others badly, but you've had other people maybe treat you badly. But with the Fool at the back of the deck, this is a positive message because they believe that you're moving into this new beginning energy where you're starting to expand and open up your mind to healthier relationships. Like I said, maybe you have been distancing yourself from people that are toxic, and you're starting to open up your mind to what is truly healthy for you and the type of loves you want to attract, whether that's friendships, romance, whatever it is. You're just opening up to new kind of connections coming into your life while still keeping the connections in your life that do still, bring you happiness and joy and do still feel healthy to you in some way. They think that you give people freedom in relationships, especially romantic. So let's say your partner wants to go out, you're going to let them, if they want to go see their friends, you're not going to become jealous or possessive or anything, or pick a fight just because they want to go out. You let people have their own freedom, their own life, and you do too. You're not super possessive, they think, in relationships. You're very understanding as well. If somebody makes a mistake or does something wrong, yes, you may have high standards, but you're also very understanding and you give people grace where it's due. But when somebody repeats a pattern over and over again and it's hurting you, then that does hurt and you do start to distance yourself from them. They think that you're starting to value yourself more and starting to really think about maybe like the kind of connections you do want, where you're starting to think about that, starting to manifest it, attract it your way, whether consciously or unconsciously. Okay. So anything else about how they think pile 2 would treat others? Strength and Queen of Wands reverse. So again, I'm getting this energy of like finding your self-worth, realizing your own worth, realizing that you deserve better than people that are just going to be in the Seven of Swords, deceitful, toxic energy. That card just slipped out of the deck, which is why I'm showing you it. But yeah, they think that you're strong emotionally, you're resilient. Even though you think you can't get through this, you will. And you will find your way again. You will find a way to see like what is healthy and what's not, if that makes sense. That's basically all I see there. So let's now take a look at how they got to this conclusion of how they think you would treat others. So far we have double Leo energy with Strength and the Sun. We also have Gemini energy with that Lovers card that came out. Temperance is Sagittarius, I think. The Hangman is Pisces. So those could be possible signs here, yours or theirs. I also see this energy of like you being someone that's sensitive but doesn't show your sensitivity to others. Like you don't wear your heart on your sleeve. You're very protective of it. That's what I'm getting. Or you're starting to be. Because I think you've had maybe people around you that took advantage of your emotional sensitivity and poked at you a little bit, like tried to almost like get on your nerves or like trigger you in some way because they knew you were emotional. So I think there's like, they think that there's some kind of like coping mechanism here where you almost pretend to not be this emotional person so that others can't use it against you. So you almost like show up as like a stronger, tougher version of yourself right now. That's what they think. So Wheel of Fortune reverse, Two of Pentacles, and the Six of Swords reverse. So how they came to this conclusion, with the Queen of Cups at the back of the deck, you've treated them and others with kindness, compassion. You just seem very sensitive and emotionally connected in some way based on like what they've seen from you. You seem like very warm, friendly, compassionate, where you would want to help others. So that's how they came to that conclusion. And you just seem emotionally deep based on like the interactions they've had with you and how you've treated them and how they've seen you treat others. They've made these conclusions unbiasedly, where they've seen your behavior and they've seen how you kind of just have been this way all the time and you haven't changed that behavior. With the Six of Swords reverse, it's not like you've acted differently. And so that's how they came to this conclusion. The Two of Pentacles tells me that they took time to come to this conclusion. This is like a balanced, grounded perspective. It's not like, oh, I meet someone one day and I assume they're like this. It's more like I'm observing them. I'm looking at their behavior over a certain amount of time. I'm looking at what's consistent in their behavior. And then I'm coming to a conclusion. But the Two of Pentacles, I'm also feeling intuitively is that they have people in their life that are similar to you, and they've almost noticed those similarities in you and other people in their life that are like you, where those similarities kind of like help them see deeper into you, because they see you both kind of displaying the same behavior, if that makes sense. The Wheel of Fortune reverse is about them almost feeling like they've seen you go through these maybe like toxic relationships where maybe they've tried to get you out of it, or maybe they tried to like steer you in the right direction, but it's like things haven't changed quite yet with the Wheel of Fortune reverse or Six of Swords reverse, and maybe they've seen you in like unlucky situations where you weren't treated the best by others. And it's almost like they want to steer you in the right direction, but I'm hearing it's a canon of event I can't avoid. You know, like when you try to like steer someone in the right direction and maybe they don't always like listen to your advice, and you have to like realize that they have to learn something on their own. That's kind of the energy I'm getting there. And if they haven't tried, maybe they've thought of doing that, but they thought, okay, maybe you still need to like learn something here. That even if they had to tell you, maybe you wouldn't listen to them, but that's kind of what's coming through. How they came to this conclusion as well is because they've seen people in their life that have been emotionally detached and very disconnected from their own emotions, and you don't act like that at all. And yeah, the Knight of Pentacles is at the back of the deck, which shows like you've been consistently behaving or acting a certain way, which is why they came to that conclusion. Or they've consistently watched you over time. And that's how they came to that conclusion. The Hierophant reverse, the Fool. But again, they think you are in this phase or process yet where you haven't fully learned the lessons associated to these karmic connections. Maybe they're not thinking of it in this spiritual kind of way, but the Hierophant reverse typically represents when we're still like stuck in some kind of cycle where we're still learning a lesson. But with a Fool, I think that they think that you're going into this new beginning where you're starting to change, where you're starting to grow, where you're starting to learn. And that journey is yours. They feel as though they could maybe help steer you in the right direction to healthy relationships, and you're already starting to go in that direction, but that decision is all up to you. With Justice reversed at the back of the deck, they think that there's still some truth about the people you're still keeping in your life that you need to accept, and that you haven't accepted the truth yet, that you're almost like, you know, like when you are so in love with someone that you're blind to love. I'm hearing that, like, and it doesn't have to be romantically, but it could be like you love somebody so much that you almost like overlook their flaws or don't see or accept the truth. Maybe you do see it, but like you kind of avoid it. With Judgment here, it's kind of like they think you're going to go through some kind of wake-up call that shows you what you need to do next. And they will be there for you. They will support you through it, but they think that you kind of like need to go through this lesson on your own to learn it. So that's what I have for you. I do hope this reading resonated with you. We also have Taurus energy here with the Hierophant. Wheel of Fortune is fixed sign energy, so that's Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, Taurus. So if you like this reading and you want to check out my memberships to see more exclusive content by me, I would appreciate it. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time. Pile 3, you chose the Amethyst crystal and the Three of Cups card. We're going to take a look at how they think you would treat others for the person on your mind. So please be aware that this is a general reading. Let's get straight into your reading. So initially, as I connect to your energy, I'm seeing somebody like at a restaurant with their friends or like their partner or something, and they're like eating sushi, but then they're offering one of like the sushi pieces to the person next to them, like maybe their lover or their friend. So I'm seeing something about sharing, like you sharing what you have. Maybe you, if it's not just sharing like things you have with people closest to you, it could also be like sharing the things that you like your interests. There's this feeling of you like always wanting to be close to those you love, where it's like you're almost attached by the hip, like doing everything together, even the boring things. Like maybe you're that type of person that has that love language of quality time where you don't even care if you're doing something interesting. Like you just like being in the presence of people you love and spending time close to them and like being around them all the time, where you don't need your space. So that's what I'm picking up on initially. So let's get your cards now. So Spirit Guides of Pile 3. How do they think Pile 3 would treat others? I think that's also like your friends and those you're closest to, but let's see. We have Page of Wands, the Ten of Swords reverse. There's like an openness with you and an honesty, like where it's like you don't really hide yourself from the world. Even if you meet a stranger, it's like you're telling them about yourself. Maybe there's some things you will keep private on, but it's like you're very open, telling people about yourself, like even open with strangers, like very friendly, almost like cheerful in a way. I see somebody talking to somebody and they have like a big smile on their face and they're like so excited to tell this person something. So there's just something about like seeming excited, seeming vibrant, lively around people, and you just seem like you bring fun to like whatever event you're at or whatever party you're at, or when you're hanging out with your friends, like you know how to make whatever you're doing fun. You're the one that always brings the vibe and sort of like makes the mood better in some way for everybody around you. They think that you could be very extroverted, someone that doesn't really like spending time alone. You like being around others, feeling connected with others. And they think that you see the best in others. You don't initially like think the worst of others. You assume people's have like positive intentions. You assume people like you. And obviously if they show you otherwise, then you'll see that and you won't like be blind to it. But it's kind of like you don't go in assuming the worst of people. The Justice card fell out as I said that, so you do still see the truth. You're not naive. Like, if somebody is treating you badly or having like a negative vibe overall, like you're gonna see it. You're not gonna ignore it and like pretend it's not there or be naive to it. But again, like you assume the best of people. They think that you're coming from this healed perspective in relationships, love, friendship. You're not coming from an unhealed place or a wounded place. Even if you have wounds, you have mostly healed from them. Compatibility is important to you, though. You need to feel like you have people around you that you're compatible with. So let's say you meet somebody like a stranger. Of course, you're going to be friendly to them, warm, like be so kind of like happy to talk to them. But if you see that you have nothing really in common, you're not really going to try to start a friendship with that person or try to like be closer to that person in any way, because you just don't vibe with them in that sense. And you need to feel like you have like things in common with a person. And if it's not things in common, even if a person is different from you need to feel like you at least have something you can talk about with them, something you can click with them about. um you need to almost feel like your connection is compatible in some way, like you work together well. Like if you start to try become friends with somebody and you notice that like everything you guys are doing around each other is getting on each other's nerves, then maybe you realize that, okay, maybe we aren't so compatible as friends or lovers or whatever. So that's what I see there. They think that you know how to lighten the mood or dampen. I don't know if lighten is the right word. Lighten the mood in like awkward situations or negative situations. So let's say one of your friends is like calling out somebody else, and now at the moment has become very awkward because of that. It's maybe in front of other people. Maybe you say something like a joke to almost lighten the mood, to take everyone's attention and focus off that. So I'm seeing some kind of energy like that, and I'm seeing you have your friends' backs. Like if you date someone, you have their back too at all times. Like, for example, I'm seeing you at a party and your friend maybe like bends down to like pick something up and their pants rip. And maybe you like quickly cover them, walk to them with walk with them to the bathroom and like try to find like pants for them to wear. So I'm seeing that energy of like someone that's supportive, someone that's understanding, someone that's not going to judge their friends or those closest to them, even if they make a bad decision. Maybe you will laugh with them. Maybe like scold them a little bit, lecture them a little bit on what to do and what not to do, but then laugh with them and say it's for the plot. So I'm getting someone that's like not very judgmental, very supportive, very helpful. I also get the energy of someone that's a girl's girl. And if you're a guy, then it's the same energy, like you're there for other guys in some way. There's just something about like support showing through here. You're also honest with those you love and with people. You're not gonna lie. You're not gonna like go behind their back or do anything like that. They think that you have good morals and values, and you apply that to the way you treat others with justice here. And maybe you're that type of person that will always stand up for others, even if they're not your friend, and you see somebody else being excluded, you're going to try and include them in some way. Or if you see somebody else being treated in a nasty way, maybe you're going to stand up for them. So I do get that energy. I get the energy of someone that's focused in conversation, completely like focused on the person, not distracted, not on your phone, not half listening. You're like fully focused in on the conversation and what they're saying. So someone that's a good listener is what I'm picking up on. Though with the Empress reverse, they think that sometimes you let your insecurities get the better of you in your connections. I don't know what that means, but that's just what I heard. So we have the Four of Wands. We have the Wheel of Fortune reverse. We have the Five of Cups. And we have the Two of Pentacles. So the Star is Aquarius energy. Justice is Libra energy. Wheel of Fortune is fixed sign energy, which is Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio. So that could be your sign, their sign. I'll mention more if I see more. So they think that you're very loyal. You keep your word. You keep your promises. You don't make empty promises. And if you can't follow through on something you promised to someone, it doesn't mean you won't ever do it. Maybe there will be some kind of delay, but you will communicate that. And you will tell them, okay, can I do this for you tomorrow because I'm busy right now. So that is what's coming through. They see you as like someone that's very grounded and balanced in the way you interact with others. They don't think that you would judge anybody or have any like negative ulterior motives towards anybody. Like you give people a chance to kind of show who they are, even strangers. Again, like not thinking the worst of people before you even know them, or judging them in a way like by how they look, how they're dressing. So that's what I get. They think that in one-on-one conversations, you're kind of like, again, just like focused on the person, what they're saying, or even just like sitting in their presence, even if you're not talking, just enjoying their presence. They like one-on-one time spent with you the most. That's what I'm picking up on, rather than like other people being around, because then you're just focused on them. But like when there's other people around, it's not that you're not just focused on them, but you're kind of like giving an equal amount of attention to everybody. So that's what I get there. I'm also getting that they think that you express your disappointments to people when they do disappoint you, and you give them a chance to almost like explain themselves, explain why they did that thing, explain why it hurt you. Overall, there just seems to be healthy communication here. Though they think that once somebody disappoints you over and over again, and it's a persistent theme or pattern, you kind of just slowly move away from them and slowly stop hanging out with them, because you're not going to put yourself through pain just to keep a friendship or to keep a relationship. And they also think that when you sometimes maybe disappoint or hurt others, you do change that behavior. Maybe sometimes like you'll forget like 1 or 2 times or slip up, but you do try to like change the behavior and advocate for their feelings. They think that your personality is sort of like a breath of fresh air in some way. Like you don't see someone like this like all the time. Someone that's like loyal, someone that is understanding, healthy. I feel like a lot of you have like a secure attachment style. Or maybe anxious attachment style that like shows up as healthier, not like so anxious and clingy. They think that you're like very chill with others with the Four of Swords at the back of the deck. And it's interesting because when I started your reading, I saw 1111 on like the camera timer, and I'm now seeing 1111 again, which is so cool. Maybe that's an angel number some of you are seeing. I'm seeing someone that likes to like dress up, go out with their friends, likes to like dress up together. I'm also seeing somebody that celebrates other people's wins, and celebrates other people for who they are instead of trying to change them. You just seem like you would be a stable partner or friend. Someone that's loyal, someone they can count on and rely on. And to lose someone like you, someone would feel a lot of grief, disappointment, regret. Okay, what do they, how do they think pile 3 treats others? How do they think pile 3 treats others? So we have the Chariot, we have the Knight of Wands, and we have the King of Cups. So we also have Cancer energy here. So I see you venting to someone you're close to, let's say a friend, and you're talking to them about somebody else that did something to you, and maybe they were acting in kind of like a snakish way, and maybe you're like confused on how to interpret the person's behavior, and you're venting to your friend about it. Maybe not gossiping, but like venting about it and saying like, am I tripping? Like, am I overanalyzing things? Like, am I taking their behavior personally? Like, what the F is going on? Like, why they're acting like this to me? So sometimes like when people act a certain way to you that isn't like the best, you kind of question it because you're treating people well and like you don't understand why they would treat you like that. So it just doesn't make sense to you, like why they would all of a sudden treat you like that. I like that all 3 piles came through as quite positive in a way. The thing is, you don't seem very impulsive. I feel like when people maybe don't treat you the best, you try to not react to it. Maybe there are moments where you like don't show up perfectly. Like, I mean, you're human, but you try to not like react impulsively to it or do something too quickly without thinking it through first. If you are gonna get revenge on someone, maybe you're the type of person that gets revenge in a way by doing better with your life, because I'm seeing that energy, or like success being the best revenge. But yeah, it just seems like you care a lot. You have a lot of patience. You just seem balanced. You don't seem like anxious emotionally, or clingy. Not that there's anything wrong with clinginess, but like I feel like you can kind of be like that type of person that like likes to spend a lot of time around people, but if they're busy, you're not gonna like start blowing up their phone or anything like that. That's kind of what I see. And when people do like mistreat you, you get over it pretty fast. Like you get over that connection pretty fast. It's not like you linger on that. Maybe sometimes like your emotions get the better of you and you'll act out in that situation, but most of the time you try to like take the classy route and just kind of like leave them be and wish them well. So that's what I'm getting. So now let's take a look at how they came to this conclusion. How did they come to this conclusion in terms of how they think pile 3 would treat others. We have the 10 of Pentacles reverse. We have strength. We have the 6 of Cups reverse, and we have the Hanged Man reverse. So this is based on past behavior with the 6 of Cups and repeated past behavior that they've taken a look at. With the Hanged Man reverse, I feel like you've known this person for a very long time, or they feel like they have gotten to know you for some time right now, where they can sort of make up their conclusion in a way where they know for sure that this is how you have acted in a way. They see your strength, your resilience, how you just have that loyalty. And I think this even comes from like past memories, like how they've kind of just seen you interact with others in the past, and how they've seen that repeat over time. I think that this person has a very good memory and they remember like little things that maybe you wouldn't like necessarily expect them to remember, but they remember. It hasn't taken them like a whole lot of effort to come to this conclusion. They haven't had to go and like analyze you and observe you and read between the lines, but this is just like how they've seen you act over time. So the 6 of Cups can represent you and this person having a lot of history and them just knowing you quite well. So they don't have to like go and do a whole bunch of analysis on you because they just know you already. I feel like they've seen how you interact with friends, lovers, if that's applicable. Like, let's say this person is a lover, maybe they've seen how you interacted with friends. Let's say this is a friend, maybe they've seen how you've interacted with lovers. Take it how it resonates. They've seen how you interact with family. They've seen how you interact with strangers. So it's kind of like they've taken all of that and that's what they see. And they've also listened to you. This is someone that like listens and remembers little things you tell them. So like maybe things you've told them kind of like add up to this conclusion they've made about you. So the 9 of Swords, the 6 of Swords reverse, and the 2 of Cups reverse. I think this person loves you a lot with the Lovers at the back of the deck, cares about you a lot, values your connection. I think this person is so afraid of like losing somebody like you with a 9 of Swords. They don't want like anything to change in your connection. They're happy with the way things are right now, and they're afraid of things changing in a way. If they had to lose you, it wouldn't be because of anything they did. It wouldn't be because of anything you did. It would be because of circumstances. And they just feel like you're someone that's kind of like a keeper. You're someone like other people would wish to have a relationship with, or other people would wish to have as a friend. And that's why they've come to this conclusion. That's why they're so afraid of losing you, because they truly just value you and they see that it's rare to find somebody like you. Anything else to end off, Spirit? The 9 of Cups reverse. Pisces and Leo's coming up again like strongly. 9 of Cups, King of Pentacles, and the World. And the fixed sign energy I mentioned. I think that when this person first met you, they had certain expectations or certain assumptions about you that they saw were untrue. And I think that sometimes in certain situations, they were almost proven wrong in a way. I think they realized they had expectations of you that weren't really rooted in reality. It's kind of like they thought you would be one way and then you were actually another. But it's almost like you surprised them in a pleasant way where you exceeded their expectations of like who they thought you would be. And that did make them feel kind of insecure, like, or like it made them feel wrong in terms of like how they first initially thought of you. Not that they thought anything like negative, but they thought or assumed you would act a different way than you actually are. I think this person has realized that you're your own person, and sometimes their unrealistic expectations can cause them to overlook like positive traits you have. I I'm getting from this person that maybe like they always like want to hang out with you where it's just the two of you. But maybe you're like someone that like always wanted to hang out with other people too. So something about that is coming through in terms of their unrealistic expectations, and they've kind of had to learn to accept not necessarily what you're giving, but accept how you are and not like expect you to change that about yourself. But I think they also need to better communicate their expectations if they want that met. Because if they do want like more one-on-one time spent with you, then they need to communicate that. But yeah, I do get that this person's very protective over you and they never want to let you go. That is the last message I'm getting to end off your reading. I know I didn't get much about like how they came to this conclusion because that message was straightforward, but then I feel like these last messages were just like about this person's energy towards you right now. Just making you aware of like the hidden energies that are present here. So yeah, I do hope this reading resonated with you. If you like this reading of mine and you want to check out my membership to see more exclusive content of mine, I would appreciate it. And please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time.